Hey, so today, welcome to my channel, Mentoring Matters. I am Kay Corinne. Please like, share, subscribe. This is my third video and I've been forgetting to say that. So that's who I am. If you have any questions about why I'm here, what we're hoping to accomplish, please refer to video 1. So let's hop right in. Today we're going to talk about conflict. Now, there's a spectrum, right? There are people who hate conflict and avoid it at all costs and oftentimes to their detriment. And then there are people who love conflict. It just gives them a rush. There's an issue on both ends because we need to exist in this balanced space and arena in order to be healthy, thriving, flourishing, loving life, all that good stuff. So, the first thing that is important to know is the purpose. What is the purpose of conflict? I'm showing my age. Is Jeopardy still on? But the purpose of conflict is to increase understanding. That's it. So if you are one of those people who do not want to have any kind of conflict, understand that what you're saying is, I don't want to deal with that awkwardness so much that I'm okay with not understanding this person, this situation, this group, this organization. Because we are thinking about conflict from everything from an issue with your children, your partner, your employer, your neighbors. Like conflict is part of human existence, right? So you're saying that you value avoiding awkwardness over getting an understanding. Now that right there, to me, that's a deterrent. Like, hold on, no, I need to understand this in my nature. And I also need to be understood, which is in everyone's nature. So once you get to that point where you're like, the purpose of this whole, and I'm going to use interchanging words, but I'm talking about conflict. So the purpose of this argument, the purpose of this disagreement, the purpose of this debate, the purpose of this tension is so that I can be better informed and make good decisions as it relates to this situation, person, place, going forward. Conflict is intended to empower us as individuals. So it's key. And if you've been using conflict to get your roll off on people, you're doing yourself a disservice. Because if you just cussing folks out and they just cussing you out and then everybody is invited to the block party, nobody has a greater understanding. Now you've just created all this negative energy that's just wrestling inside of you. You don't understand, they don't understand. All you understand is that you don't understand. And that's not the goal. All right, now when you are going to approach conflict, don't speak from the heart. Because when people say speak from the heart, they mean that they have not pre-planned or thought about or strategized around this conversation at all. That's a mistake. You have to have some level of game plan, and it's not to be manipulative. You need that game plan so that you can stay on course with that original goal. I'm here to understand. I'm not even really here to vent. I'm here to understand. So, in my approach, and then the other problem is, and I think I mentioned this on my last video, it's like, or maybe I didn't, maybe I said this to my best friend, but when you first start any particular conversation, you're starting way out there. I think this is bothering me. Is it them? Is it me? Am I tripping? Is it this? Am I agitated? Is this a trauma response? You don't even know where you're at with it. You really don't. You just know that you're feeling a kind of way. I don't know if we say that anymore, but you know you're feeling some kind of way, but you don't even know what the way is. So now you're bringing your confusion, your frustration to another party without any plan for how you all are going to resolve this. You can't even tell them what you need. You done came, you done yelled, you done hollered, you done said a bunch of stuff that was really irrelevant as it relates to them. A lot of what you said is about you and your internal journey. So some of that they didn't even need to hear, because the conflict is about you and them. Once you think about it by yourself and kind of start your pre-planning, you're going to discover if it's a them problem or a you problem, and there may not be a conflict with them. It may be within. But once you've decided, like, nah, it's them. It's this action or this inaction or this thing that they said. It's them. Not in a blaming kind of fashion, but it's external. It does need to be discussed. Let's say you bring it to them, you tell them about themselves, and then they're like, well, what can I do better? I don't know. What you mean? Or if it's a job and management asks you what's bothering you and you just air it all out in their office, then they say, well, what do you suggest we do differently? That's your job. You make the big bucks. No. You have to walk all the way through this process where you are understanding what the issue is, which could take some time. And then once you know the issue, how would you like to see it resolved? That's number 2. And number 3 is, what do you have to contribute to the resolution? Because it can't just be what they need to do to make you feel more comfortable. You can't do it that way, because they're going to reject that. You're just adding something to their to-do list, something that they need to do for you. And even people who love you have so much on their minds and hearts, so much that they're dealing with on a day-to-day, that you coming in, filing a complaint about what you need, it's not going to be received well unless you're coming into partnership with them. Okay, so think about what the issue is. Is it internal? Is it external? If it's external, now you need to plan your approach. What words are you going to use? Because you don't want to trigger them in the process. Now they're triggered, you're triggered, and now there's no understanding. If you know this person, then you need to take the time to think about the approach that'll work best. Not just, I'm just going to say, I'm just speaking my heart. Hold on. Okay, it's going to be your heart, because it's you that's doing the talking. It's not scripted. But let's make sure that these things that you're bringing to them are brought respectfully, are brought in love, and that you are solution oriented and willing to contribute to the solution. Now, in this conversation, they might have some stuff for you too. Y'all have this great woo-saw moment. Well, let me back it up. Resolution may not happen in the initial conversation. It might take 3 or 4 conversations. And then after the conversations are over, we need time to walk out whatever changes these are that they're going to make, that we're going to make. So that's another thing. You have to be patient with the conflict resolution process, because some things will be easily resolved and some things won't. And if you're one of those people that just, how do we fix it right now? That frustrated energy is not going to get you to the resolution. So, but all right, so now you're going to be patient. You've done your pre-planning. You have your resolutions. You have your contributions. You have the right attitude. You've done the inner work. You in it. Now, after you all resolve this problem, or even maybe before you resolve the problem, they're like, since you bring it up, this is the stuff I don't like about you. These are the things that you've done to disrespect me. These are the ways I believe you've operated passive aggressively within our friend group, within the organization, in the leadership team meeting. You're not ready for that. You're ready to talk about what's bothering you. You're not ready to talk about what's bothering them. So being open. So when you are thinking about how you're going to approach them and what you're approaching them about, already think in your mind, is there something that they might want to bring to me too? And even if you can't think of anything, be prepared for it. So now it's not an agitation. It's not an interruption to your conversation. It's part of the larger conversation. Because that happens, right? You bring your complaint, and then you want them to process it, receive it, and do better. And you're not ready to receive a complaint. You're not ready to receive feedback. You're not ready to receive anything critical about you, your movements, your professionalism, the type of friend you are, the type of partner you are, the type of daughter, sister that you've been. So just be ready to receive accountability as you are issuing the accountability, and it makes for a more balanced conversation, and then it will not anger you. You can't have it all together. You can't have the script ready and the script got to go just like this, because you're not leaving space for a two-way conversation. So be open. All right. So if you have any kind of anger management issues, when conflicts happen, you get anxious, you get angry. There are a few things that can help with that, right? So the first one, and I learned this when I went through anger management as a teenage girl because of these altercations that I was having. Granted, I never initiated a physical or verbal conflict. I was on the receiving end and I would defend myself, but it was happening in these numbers that calls for some concern. So the first thing that I learned in anger management is, I said I learned it right. Now I'm all like, what was it? Oh yes, the first thing that I learned in anger management was anger is never the first emotion. Never. Your feelings were hurt, then you became angry. You felt unappreciated, then you became angry. You felt scared, then you became angry. You became impatient, then you became angry. You were insulted, then you became angry. You were disappointed, then you became angry. You know, it's not first, it's second. It's the volatileness of the first emotion, because you're not processing that, you're just skipping through that. Sit with that first emotion. That's both when you're doing your pre-planning, and that's when you're having that conversation. As you have different emotions, start processing them right there. What am I feeling now? Am I embarrassed? Or what? Why am I responding this way? Why do I have this in the gut of my stomach and in the pit of my stomach? What is this? Why is this? Why is my temperature rising? And actually take the time to process through that while they're still speaking. Work through it and move on and continue to listen. Continue to listen. Another thing that'll happen is someone's saying all these things and you have a you have a rebuttal or explanation or a counter thought to the things that they're saying, and you're afraid that if you just let them keep going, you're going to lose everything you had to contribute to the conversation or in response. Write it down. If it's serious, it's worth the trouble to, while they're speaking, just tell them like, listen, I don't want to lose track. This conversation is really important to me. I'm going to write down some of what you're saying so that I can respond at the end. They're not going to mind. In fact, they may think that you are super invested in this conversation, in this relationship, and in this resolution. So you don't have to get mad because I was just gonna say, you made me forget. I can't overstate it. All right. So pre-plan, and then there's always counting backwards from 10. It really does work. But when you're counting backwards from 10, you're taking the longest breath you've ever taken in your life for each number. So it's not 10, 9, 8, it's 10. Whew. Maybe not do if you're with them. Like, I just need to take a second. I just need to count backwards from 10, recenter. You can also leave for a moment. Now, I used to take it extreme. I'm hopping in my car and I'm riding off, But go outside, take a breath, go in another room, go in the basement, go in the bathroom. Sometimes a good shower will, will like kind of purify you of that initial emotion, and then come back. So you're counting and breathing, You're taking breaks when you need to. You're writing stuff down so you don't forget. And you are always remembering that anger is a secondary emotion. You're working through that first emotion so that you can get through this conflict peacefully and effectively, because that's what it's all about. If we end up being ineffective, what was the purpose of any of this? Now, if you are a person that likes to avoid conflict, you don't want to ruffle any feathers, you don't want to create awkward situations. Maybe you feel like you're a little socially awkward. So just like dealing with human beings and their issues, it's just like, do I have to? Yes, you do. Because some of the best relationships of my life, we had some intense conflicts, but on the other side of that intense conflict, it was a level of beauty in our bond. And even I'm thinking about some things that I went through with my best friend. I've had the same best friend since 8th grade. It's like 25 years or something. And we've been through things, and women have a tendency to fuck that bitch. I'm sorry. This is a clean channel. Women have a tendency to disregard platonic relationships. We'll go to bat for our man, we'll forgive him 1,000,000 times, we'll fight our family, our friends, but for whatever reason, we don't place that same value on sisterhood. And if I would have been the type of person that could not deal with conflict, I would have lost my best friend. So it's worth it every day of the week and twice on Sunday to take the time to really fight for your relationships, for yourself, your boundaries, your comfort, and supporting them. So it's all the way around. It's so positive for everyone once you get to that point of being on the other side of it. So realizing in the thick of a frustrating conflict that it's okay to not be okay. I know I'm talking a good game, but it's going to be uncomfortable at times. It's not always going to go smooth. There's going to be all kind of bumps and bridges and valleys to this conversation, or to this series of conversations, or to this series of actions. You got to be okay with that. You got to release the anxiety that tells you that everything has got to be perfect right now. I felt something on that. Take me back to my church days. You have to release the need for everything to be perfect or even, because it's not ever perfect. You have to release the need for things to even seem perfect in the right here, right now. And then once you accept it's all gonna be all right in the end, because if it's not all right, it's not the end. I heard that quote years ago and I'm like, wow. For me, it's profound. I'm like a huge quote hoarder. I'm thinking about doing something on a show where I introduce one of my favorite quotes and I tell you why it's so powerful to me. But I also want to bring in my own quotes and my own fresh ideas. I think maybe I'll do a back and forth between my quotes and the quotes of the great ones. So hopefully, and I'm not, I'm what they call extroverted introvert. So I got one friend, and my family, of course. I'm not a social butterfly. I'm not the member of any organizations or any sororities or anything like that, which there's nothing wrong with things like that. And introverted people do those things. But I guess my point is, I believe in the value of words. I don't do a lot of small talk. I don't make things longer or more convoluted or more detailed than they need to be. So my videos should generally be anywhere between 10 and 28 minutes. You're not going to be on here with me for an hour. You know, shout out Tony Gaskins, because he's one of my, he doesn't know this because I have never paid for a session, but he's one of my mentors from a distance. And Tony will get on there, honey, and talk. And Tony says he's an introvert, but he's a different kind. He's somewhat long-winded. So I guess I say this to say I'm not long-winded. So if there's something in particular that I don't address on a video, like what about this situation? Hit me with it in the comments, and eventually I'll do a Q&A and we can discuss it there if you ever feel like I'm being too brief. But at this point, I'm just trying to be true to myself and what just kind of feels natural. All right, because I obviously follow quite a few people, and I don't really see videos this short, especially about like the life videos and the mentoring videos and things that come from a sociology perspective and growth and evolution, and those are longer videos. And so I'm doing deep dives quickly, and hopefully you all can appreciate my efficiency and respect for your time. All right, that's episode 3. Like, share, comment, and thank you for watching.